Broken Head Radio. You're listening to Broken Head Radio with your host, Stan the Man.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We have a little bit of an exciting show. Well, it's exciting to me, anyway. We had a giant spring eShop sale drop on the Nintendo eShop for the Switch. And there is quite a few great titles on sale. Some great titles, AAA titles to be exact. There's quite a bit going on there. I actually downloaded a couple of them myself. And, yeah. I'm quite happy with the couple that I did get. They're a lot cheaper than they ever had been. So I picked them up. And the first one I ended up getting was Gunman Clive. The reason I picked this one up is because I'm a big fan of Mega Man style games, those platformers, those tight platformers. This one does kind of like have a rogue-like-esque to it. I know in the newer Mega Man that I played, I think it was Mega Man 11. You get checkpoints throughout the level. When you die, you don't go all the way back to the very beginning of the level. I was getting a little frustrated earlier playing it. But it does have a lot of good play value. I'm going from the first one. I'm doing the first one first. I don't know if there's any differences in the combat or if there's any differences in checkpoints or anything like that. But that's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to beat the first one before I move on to the second one. And I didn't mention it is a collection. It does have both of them. It is a HD remastered collection of the two games that were on the Nintendo 3DS. So that was the first one that I picked up. And the second one I picked up was Thimbleweed Park. The reason I got this one is because it reminded me a lot of a game I used to play when I was a kid that was called Full Throttle. And that was by LucasArts, I believe. And you're basically a guy in a biker gang, and you're basically trying to figure out, because you got framed, and I don't want to ruin a game for you, but if you do want to check out a really great retro game from LucasArts, it's called Full Throttle. It will not disappoint. That game is fantastic. I've played it probably about 30 times over in my lifetime, and I've enjoyed it every single time. So, yeah, that's what got me to download this one. I started a little bit earlier. It's this same kind of graphics. It's that kind of retro pixel art graphics. They did a wonderful job on that. So far, the gameplay is... I'm going to have to get used to it because you're using the joysticks as a mouse, which I'm not really used to. So, that's a little weird. But the graphics are there. The story so far is intriguing. You get to start out as the guy that is dead, that you have to figure out what happened to him. So, yeah. It's interesting to say the least. And the voice acting is great. I thought it was going to be one of those just you got to read and do your thing like that, which is okay. I like games like that too. Those are, great ones to play when you're laying in bed next to your significant other that needs to get up really early next morning, and you can just read through it. You can turn the sound off. You don't even need to bother putting headphones on or anything like that. But this one did have great voice acting, and it did have the subtitles, which are optional also. So that's cool too. So I'm excited to dive into the Thimbleweed Adventure. The reviews were great on it. I haven't heard anything really bad about it. I've probably said more bad about it than I've heard about it, which is just the controls are just a little weird. Having to go from the text menu and go to an item, it's time consuming instead of being able to just walk your character over to it like they did with the remaster of Grim Fandango, which is another great game that's set up kind of like this point-and-click adventure. I highly suggest that also. That's a great one. I believe that one came out on Nintendo 64 or Dreamcast, or not Dreamcast, GameCube. Okay. I think it might have been on a bunch of the other consoles too. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below. But yeah, so, and I did get one other game. I've heard people rant and rave about it. I watch, I have a couple of YouTubers that I follow, Spawnwave being one of them, and RGT85 being another one. And there's Dreamcast guy. There's quite a few of them that inspire my podcasts and the reason I got a Switch. And they've said that they like this game, and every single one that I've heard talk about it hasn't had a bad thing to say about it, and that's Golf Story. Basically, it is a golf / RPG adventure game, which is pretty cool. I got through like the mini tutorial portion of it, and now I got to go out and beat a bunch of people in rounds of golf. But there's a lot of different elements to it where you can hit, you can drop a ball anywhere. You can just tee up anywhere you want, or you could throw a ball at things, and depending on what you hit, can have different reactions. Things will pop out at you, or you'll knock something out of a tree, or you'll knock something out of a barrel, or you can hit someone and get a response out of them. It's pretty funny. I haven't gotten too far into the game, but the gameplay is great. The aiming, like when you're doing the ball aiming, where you're trying to go near and far and left and right, they kind of set that up a little weird, and there's no way to configure the controls at all. So that was a little bit of a downfall for me. So I'm going to have to do some heavy button recognition with this game, because it gets a little weird when you're trying to get the cursor to go where you want it to go, and then all of a sudden you switch golf clubs, and then it's closer to you or further away from you than where you were trying to go, and there is a precision mode that I'm learning to use, and it makes things a little bit easier. It's a warming up thing. I just wish they would have put a couple of buttons that you can remap to somewhere else, just to make it comfortable. You know, let the user set up the way he wants to control the game. But that being said, the game was great. I only picked it up, I think it was only $7 or $7.99, and it's usually a $15 game, so I believe it was 50% off. Which that's pretty good for the reviews, and there's not a bad thing to say about it. I can't really say a bad thing about it, other than the controller thing. But that's a personal thing. Has nothing to do with the way the game was made. It's just the way my brain and my fingers work together. So don't take that with a grain of salt. I mean, you may go, I don't know what he's talking about. The controls are completely fine with me. So, I'm going to dive into that one. I'm going to be playing these ones simultaneously, just kind of a little bit at a time. And I'll let you know if there's anything out of these three games that just stick out and I have to talk about it. I will bring them back up. And if I do beat them, I will give you guys my review, my full review on them after I complete them. But as of right now, for Golf Story, I don't really have anything game-wise I can compare it to. It's kind of in its own class. It's a sports adventure RPG game. It's kind of wild saying it that way. But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff on there. There's some great titles on there. There's the Spyro trilogy that's on there. That one, it's $20. The Diablo Eternal Collection, that's usually a $60 game. It's 50% off right now, so you get it for $29.99. They have the Crash Insane Trilogy for sale on there for, I think it was $19 too. The AAA title, I mean, there's a couple of AAA titles on there. I don't know what you guys consider a AAA, but it's not first party, but a AAA title. Mortal Kombat 11's on sale from 60% off, from $60 to $23.99. There's a bunch of great games out here that are waiting to be played, and the reason I keep pushing these games is because if you guys have a Switch, or if you guys have an Xbox, or you guys have a PlayStation, you guys are probably using the crap out of it right now, being stuck at home with, I mean, I can't say nothing better to do, because a lot of people are working from home, but they're probably playing some games to stay sane and to to keep moving forward, or at least to kill the boredom out. Oh look, they got CTR, the Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuels on sale for $23.99. Sorry, I had it up on the screen and I was like, whoa, cool. That's a good game. I also have that game. That is a fun game. If you like hard kart racers, it's nothing like Mario Kart. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's not like a rubber bandy, arcadey, but yet it is. You know, it's kind of hard. It's not apples to apples. Yeah, it is hard. There are some parts in that game are just really freaking hard. But it is a fun game, and it'll keep you busy. There's a lot of replay value, a lot of online play. I believe that one has online play. I'm not sure. I never played it online, but it probably does because it's a racing game. But I have played it against my wife, and so it is couch co-op. And I think it's local multiplayer. I want to say it's online, but I don't have the case here right in front of me to give you that full-blown information. Actually, since I have this up on the screen here, I'll just dive in here real quick and I'll get that information. Because I don't want to give you guys some false information and have you go up there and be like, hey, it was online. He said it was online. So, it is online. So it's 1 to 4 players couch co-op and 2 to 8 players online. So, that's something you guys can look at if you guys want to do some competitive kart racing with some nitro fueled with Crash. Great game, great graphics, and yeah, it's a little off the topic. I mean, it's still on the topic of games, but it's a great game. Sorry, had to jump in there real quick. So yeah, the spring eShop sale. I do highly suggest that you guys head down there and give it a look. If you have a Nintendo 3DS, there's a bunch of games on sale for that also on the eShop. Because they haven't completely given up on that system yet. I don't think they're making new games for it anymore, but they're still at least have an active online shop so you can continue to get digital downloads and retroware. Because Nintendo 3DS does have the retro consoles on there. So that's pretty cool, the virtual consoles. So enough about video games. Let's move on to the random thought of the day. And that's going to finish off this segment. So the random thought of the day today is, if you rip a hole in a net, then the net would have less holes than it did before it was ripped. Isn't that weird? You would think it would have more because you just put a hole into it, but you just took away a hole. Or multiple, depending on how big the rip is. So that's something to think about, just one of those random thoughts. I hope it gives you a giggle or a laugh or, a chuckle or something. Because that's what we're trying to do here at Broken Head Radio. We're trying to bring some entertainment for you guys. And we're trying to do it the best we can. I'm still learning the software, but I got some really great software. Got some really great equipment. We're still doing the countdown to the new microphone coming in, because I'm still waiting on another microphone. It was supposed to be here Wednesday, but then they're like, oh, it's guaranteed to be here Wednesday, so you'll get it Friday. So we'll see. I'm hoping that it doesn't come in on Friday. I hope it comes in just in time for our interviews for the Lake NPRC guys that are going to be coming in, because I'm really looking forward to this first guest show that we're going to be doing. And so tune in and keep updated with us, and I will keep making my content. This is Broken Head Radio, and this is Stan the Man. And just remember, we're only one app click away. You guys have a wonderful night.
We're available on Apple Podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Deezer, YouTube, and also Facebook. So go ahead and listen your little hearts out.
Broken Head Radio. Broken Head Radio.